morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning where we are grumpy as always. I'm already grumpy because 49ers sucked yesterday, but I did win a bunch of money yesterday, so there's that. All the bets went just like even the old bets we placed with Angie just for shits and giggles were doing good. So won money. Not enough to have retired, unfortunately, but still enough to eat lunch. So let's go that way. How are things with you? You were with us in the morning,
Yes,
with the live watch along, and then you had to go around and patch stuff around the house with the in-laws. So how did that work out for you?
it was fun. It was good. We got
It was
a lot.
fun is an overstatement, probably, but go ahead.
Can you hear the fun in my voice? We were we also we ordered some Chinese, and my mother-in-law baked a really nice like Polish version of an apple pie, if you will. It's called a szarlotka, it's one of my favorites. So that all of that was
Which
really
version
enjoyable.
of the apple pie, and the difference being you can't just say that and just leave it hanging there. Like, what is the difference?
I don't know.
Thursdays with us, Alan and Mr. B, all the way from UK. Welcome, all gentlemen, as we kind of like hit the Liverpool news, but we first have to understand what the hell the difference is between
Well, here,
and the apple pie.
Since it's Monday, right?
Here we go.
This is a szarlotka, and it's got some powdered sugar on top. You just have your crust here, then you've got your apples in there. So I don't know what
is
really
it like a cake with an apple pie in the middle. Is that what we're talking here?
No, I don't know what makes it more Polish than American apple pie. I just had to insert the fact that it's Polish for some reason.
Just bragging that it's Polish.
Szarlotka versus apple pie.
There we go. Now we're talking. Thank God there's Google here to tell us. I mean, we're not going to tell by pictures, but
a Polish apple cake differs from American apple pie in its crust, filling, and taste. Szarlotka is generally less sweet than apple pie, has a sweet pastry crust, and has a spiced apple filling. Apple pie typically includes warm spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, as well as brown sugar for a little moisture and caramelly flavor. So there's a little.
Well, I think we're gonna have to eat it to be able to tell what the hell the difference is, because I'm still up in the limbo over here.
I will happily send some your way as soon as one of my parlays hit.
Okay, yeah. See, there we go. I would definitely say I knew, but there was like as soon as or but at the end of that. But
I'm glad that you're a betting man though, and that you won some bets because so what I like to do every Sunday, just real quick. This is gonna be a really fun segment for all the people who hate the NFL right now. I like to do like a 12-time any touchdown scorer parlay. So just pick 12 guys.
12. Yeah, I think we won a couple of those, but it was like 3, 4. We're not all of us are princes, so we're not that ambitious. But
so here's a little fun fact. Back in 2017, 2018, I got really into gambling, sports gambling. To the extent that I thought that I was beating the system because I had spreadsheets, I had all this stuff.
Whoa.
I had systems that I would follow, and specifically baseball, which was the worst time of my life. You could tell I was really depressed because I was betting on baseball.
Not actually you were having to watch baseball afterwards. It is pretty bad.
I didn't have to watch it, thankfully. Just the scores. But there was one time where I did an 11-team parlay. And it was a $5 bet, and every team that I bet on, they won that game that day. And so I won like $3,500 or something because they all hit. And ever since then, I've had this sick addiction that I will hit another big parlay. And so the touchdown parlays, it's like $5 or $10, and you can win between $200,000 and $400,000 for each bet. And so I'm like, yeah, I like those odds. Those are better odds than me just buying a lottery ticket, because somehow I feel like I have control because I can pick a player until that player leaves the field with a concussion in the first quarter. And then like, what the fuck?
I think, you feel like, you actually, that's the problem with gambling though, right? Like you feel like you're smarter than these guys that actually do it for a living out of your living room, like with the odds and stuff like that. But I don't know, like makes some of the game. I mean, yeah, we're not betting anything that's gonna bring us Polish royalty. It's more about just for shits and giggles kind of a thing. Yeah. But then we're discovering like these weird bets, and I think like we did one yesterday like starting to do like these weird ones, like these 3 guys will have 8+ touchdowns and stuff like that. And I had Burrow in one of them. Obviously, he got 5, so I was like, sweet. So like a couple of like, yeah, if I do parlay, I used to do these like ridiculous ones that were like 9, 10, like you did, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's when you look at it, you're like, $5 gets you 3 grand. Click, but it's just like, especially with the NFL, it's almost like impossible. Whereas I feel like 3, 4 is always doable. Honestly, like I rarely do it with soccer. I don't know if like people who are listening right now, like they bet on soccer and stuff. I know, like even Klopp was talking about that in the UK. It was like a lot more than even like compared to like rest of Europe and stuff. And so it's a matter of with soccer, I don't need it maybe, so I never get around to it or remember it because I'm gonna watch it anyway. Whereas sometimes with like NFL or any other sport, that I'm like, it'll make it interesting as we're just kind of watching sports kind of thing. But NG's Colts lost and my Bears lost, so we kind of like when that happens, we're like, okay, football for today. We didn't even do the night game. Otherwise, we're gonna do some kind of like funky bets and stuff like that. I mean, I remember I did not realize because I thought that was the only betting, like a couple of parlays, winners, and stuff like that. We went to, I think it was last year or the year before, I can't remember what it was, but we went to this wing place. If you're in Chicago, Crosstown in Naperville, I think I told you this place before. Best wings ever. So anyway, so we went over there Thursday night game, 49ers were playing. So, and I'm like, I hate watching games in public. We talked about this before. So, of course, we're sitting there. There's a table next to us, and it's 49ers against the Giants. And the Giants have the ball. So these guys are like rooting hard for the Giants. I'm like, great. So 4 times we sat next to a freaking table. They're going to pick me up for like 3 hours straight. These guys are going to like talk shit and stuff over there. It's like these like 6 guys. Well, like, like 5 minutes later, now they're rooting for like Kittle and the 49ers. And I was like, what the fuck? And then like 2 minutes later, they're rooting for Giants again. So I realized they were literally betting on like drive by drive.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's
holy
sick.
cow. As fun as that is, that's intense.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we were in Vegas, there was this place and they gave us these tablets. You can literally bet like saying like run to the right and run up the middle and like play by play. You could bet and stuff. And I'm sure, I mean, it was Vegas, but I think, it's gonna be rough. Mr. B that says, betting in UK is big. What is that? Like, spot betting?
I don't know what spot betting is, but what you just described is so degenerative. Like I'm a degenerate, I think, with how I gamble because I do really stupid. I only do like $10-15 a weekend. Like that's all I'll ever do because I know.
Yeah, that's where we're probably at 15-20. Yeah,
but to sit there and do play by play, oh my god, that's just gross.
I think in some ways, like I don't know, it's probably the same thing.
It's like slots,
It is, but you're watching a game. I don't know. Here's what I'm like. I put everything in perspective of how much entertainment for how much money, right? If you're just betting $1 on a play, I mean, you got to win some of them. You can't be a moron, right? Well, hopefully, like you win one some here and there. So you're like, you're doing that. You win one here, you win one there, and then you might lose some. Let's say you lost $25-$30 or whatever. You can go to a shitty movie for 2 hours and, spend $20-$25. So if you're entertained,
but
what's the difference?
Think about how many plays there are in a football game. There's like 120 plays.
Oh, you're not going to be able to do every play, though. You got to eat wings, bro. Like you
can't bet on eat wings. Really dedicated. I mean, what I would do is I would just bet the biggest amounts I could possibly bet on 4th down when there's a punt. Like there's definitely a punt here. Like,
they'll probably give you a penny.
A penny for like a $500 bet. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I think I don't know. There's probably like 100, 130 plays a game. I would think, right? When you look at snap counts of the guys, it's usually around there. I think I gotta look, but I can. The betting on. Oh, okay. So that's what he means by spot betting. So I've seen that because I was gonna do it for Champions League. Honestly, Champions League was a lot easier before when it was like the smaller groups. Now you don't know how much rotation is going to be and stuff like that, and that's I think what makes it difficult, and that's why NFL loves betting, and that's why they're very strict on injury reports and stuff like that. And if you're healthy, I mean, in NFL, if you're healthy, you play. It's not like basketball where people rest and stuff like that. So Holy cow! Hold on. Mr. B is gonna get us addicted over here. Spot betting is how many shots before a goal is scored. Yikes! Fuck! It was the Villa United game that we did a watch along for yesterday. The answer is 100. Yeah, that was a rough game to watch.
The answer there is no limit.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, you weren't obviously, like I say, you weren't moving afterwards, but 0-0 after the Porto 3-3. No news yet as of now, and it is like past 3:00 in UK, so I doubt, unless they're doing it like right before business closes, they're like, by the way, Ten Hag is fired, and then just like lower
lights out,
put the padlock on the bottom. But you think he has saved his job with 2 draws over here?
Saved? I don't know. Is it technically a job you want at this point? And maybe he's just wants to leave, but he doesn't want to leave on such a terrible note. I don't know. It's just he's kept it for now. I think he's kept it through the international break. If there was a loss, I think he would have been gone. I think we talked about that yesterday during the watch along, that he would have been gone. But I think he played himself to at least see till November.
The next international break. We'll see you guys in the next international break.
Bye.
Usually, like, it's a good time to, camp people, because it gives you at least, if there's a new dude, like 2 weeks or whatever to unpack the suitcase. So, I don't know, because the guys are not there, so it's not a lot of like coaching going on because they're away. Most of your team is away. I don't know. United squad is pretty trash, so they may not be going to international game. But yeah, I actually did see this, by the way, that he did break his own record. Of
one reason to keep him. He can keep breaking the record every year. Yeah. You guys,
you want a guy in charge who can keep raising the bar and does not settle for mediocre, shitty performances, but really goes for the top. That's what Grubauer got in trouble for. Fun fact, Grubauer is how I became a Liverpool fan back in 84, I believe, right? Rome. Spaghetti legs. That's like, I was like a kid because, I'm not that fucking old. But anyway, I was a kid and watching that, and I was like, that's like my first memory of like Liverpool there. And then that's how I became. I did not realize he was fixing number of throw-ins at the time. That was not a well-known fact until recently. Or pissing around the stadium is another one. Ten Hag wants that. God damn, that's his clause.
That's more than almost every Liverpool player's salary. Besides probably Mo, because he's on 350.
17 million. Here's the thing, right? Like, we always talk shit, but wouldn't you? If your business, wherever you work for is fired, and they're like, fine. Just live up to the contract. I don't give a fuck. And take the money and go. I'm always amazed that, if some, I guess it's levels. As a prince, you probably don't feel the same way because you got money flowing everywhere. But if I'm getting 17 million afterwards, I was like, do I really need this shit anyway? Yeah, why don't you guys fire me? Maybe that's why he's like, you know what? Rashford in goal, Maguire in the wing, give me the 17 and let me get the hell out of here. But I would be at an island somewhere. I wouldn't be like, you know what? I should go back to the Dutch league.
Yeah, and I've got money flowing so much that I'm patching up my own holes in my home. You're right.
By the way, I love how you mentioned like going around patching holes in the house, even though you were not the one doing it. You were just holding the flashlights.
Okay, well, we didn't have to put that in.
So what are you doing? Are you like going around serving like hors d'oeuvres and stuff as they're going around fixing up the house?
No, yesterday what I was doing specifically was I at one point took a ladder and had to go up a couple feet to grab a vent that we had to clean. And I'm a little bit taller than most people, so
you're like reaching up for things.
I don't have to go as high up on the ladder, even though I'm terrified of heights. The moment I got to like that fourth rung, I started shaking because I don't like heights. That's one thing about me. Here's
the thing. I was like, fourth is kind of low, but your fourth is probably my eighth. So we were probably about the same height at the time. I'm not good with heights as well. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the one time my stepdad asked me to help work on a roof with him, and I went up there, and I got so paralyzed with fear that I just sat there and couldn't move. And I sat there for about 20 minutes and then just went back down the ladder because I couldn't even move. I don't know what it is, but I can fly. I can fly just fine. Yeah, which is bizarre. There's a little. I think there's always a little bit of the fear on takeoff and landing, but once we're in the air, I don't feel it at all. It's interesting. I don't know what it is.
I think first of all, when you're in a plane, you don't feel like you're flying. You're just like sitting in a room with a bunch of other people.
You're just very uncomfortable for many hours. Yeah.
But I mean, I think usually with the height, for me, it's like the opening that makes it bad. Well, like the height, I'm okay with. The falling part is what I'm feared of. Sure. I think when you're like up and you're like across a ledge or something like that, that's when it gets bad. Fun story. Like this is we're never gonna get to Liverpool news, but
it's a Monday, folks. Strap in.
Monday. Yeah, we rarely get to anything serious on Mondays usually. But I remember, dude. I mean, when I used to work for Menards, and they had I'm in Chicago, so they're like just the Midwest anyway. But so they had these meetings every once a year, and they flew you out there. Well, I mean, they fly in these tiny planes that take like 14, 16 people. You think, that's when you're afraid of flying on heights. I mean, I remember, those things, like if somebody sneezes, the whole plane kind of like would move. And so I remember like coming back one time, and obviously Chicago is called the Windy City. So when you approach for landing and stuff, it's all over the place. And I remember one time, that's probably the closest I've been to death, aside from a couple of last minutes of Liverpool games when we're only up by 1. But that's probably the closest I've been to death. And I remember Matt, what the hell is some Polish bastard, Smorsinski or something like that was his last name. If he's listening, he's an asshole. So he's probably not listening. But anyway, so we're like landing, and this dumbass is like this plane is all over the place. I'm like, how are we going to touch grounds? Because like the plane is like this. So I'm like, what are the chances that when we land, we're right in the middle? I mean, we could be landing like when we're at an angle too. And this guy is like yelling, telling some stupid story about his store or something like that. And I remember thinking, and I told this to AG, like, I remember thinking, oh my fucking God, I'm going to die listening to Matt. And I didn't know which part was worse, like the dying part or dying listening to Matt. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dying, and I'm dying listening to Matt talk about his stupid store. And I was like, I gotta get out of this company. And I did. So
fun fact for any of our viewers that are not familiar with the States or Chicago. Chicago is actually not named the Windy City because of the wind. Do you know why it is named the Windy City?
Because it's windy as fuck. I don't know why.
It can be windy, but it was named the Windy City after politicians in the early 1900s that were so easily swayed from one side to another with money.
Really? I know. That is a fun fact.
Windy. Yeah. So that is Chicago can have actual physical wind, but it is named the Windy City because of the politicians.
Yeah, see, Ryan knows.
Yeah.
All the crooked people know why.
We know. Yeah.
It's called the Windy City. I don't know. That is a fine. See, that's the thing with the morning. You tune in for Liverpool news, you find out why Chicago is so called called the Windy City. Let's hit a couple of headlines real quick.
No.
We talked about Alisson. When the hell did we talk about that? In the post match, or maybe like during the watch along or something?
Probably the watch along. Yeah.
With a McAllister injury update. It says injury update, but there's really no update. The only good update is, I don't know, maybe Slot is being optimistic, but he said a couple of weeks. So it sounded like it's just a pull and not a tear on the hammy.
It's whatever it is. It happens way too often. It's amazing how often we've seen a goalkeeper suffer similar injuries, and a lot of the times it's due to just clearing the ball with the outside of his foot. I think that's when I think back of Ali going down, it always happens a couple minutes after he just booted a ball with the outside of his left foot for no reason. And
why does he do that? Because I understand the body shape, right? You got to open up yourself a bit more if you're going to kick it towards the right, whereas you can just kind of kick it out the outside and like curve it out. But
he wants a break.
First of all, kicking like that hard with the inside or the outside of the foot, you're gonna suffer with accuracy either freaking way. why not just open up your body and just boot it anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's just not as comfortable with the inside of his left as much as he is with the outside of his left, but the outside of the left is a bit more of a difficult way to hit the ball, I would imagine. So yeah, I'm not sure why, and it is quite odd. But that's, again, going back to the reason they were looking for your keeper of the future. If it wasn't Kvin, it was because this guy gets injured more often than he should in that position. And they're not injuries that are coming from fighting for the ball with someone else, colliding with someone in the box, like stuff that you would think a keeper would get hurt on.
Yeah.
They're just clearances. That's what it is.
At the same time, here's what I was thinking about afterwards, especially after Jarosz came in, that do we almost, do teams, because you could kind of tell there was a moment right after Jarosz came in, ball is on the left-hand side, Van Dijk has it. Normally that ball is probably played to the back, and Van Dijk smartly did not do that. And then kind of turned around, gave it to Konate or something like that. Kind of did not, the natural flow, you would think, he's going to be a pass. Do we almost have these guys play with their feet way too much anyway? Trent didn't care. Trent had a back pass 2 minutes that I was like, dude, you're going to kill this guy. Hold on. There's no other goalie left if this guy gets injured, because you have to run out and slide to that one to boot that one away. I don't know. I almost get the feeling that sometimes we rely on it a bit too much or use it too much, to the point where you use it when it's not needed. Obviously there are times where you need it, right? It's like the extra player. So you kind of stay back, get wide, force the guy to either go to the goalie or leave the goalie open or whatever. But as I don't know, I was told, obviously this is the old days where you did not mess around with the ball in the back way too much unnecessarily. So it's a different brand of soccer. We're talking early 20s, people. But yeah, it's you did not use the goalie unless you really had to. Your back was there. So you're hey, I'm going to roll this to you. So you're going to boot it instead of me turning around and whipping it, and kind of a deal. But it's not a good thing. The funny thing is, we got a goalie who's not good with his feet. So maybe we're automatically going to kick it less.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's concerning that doesn't make sense is the fact that Mamardashvili isn't great with his feet, and if that's the system you're looking to have, and you're looking to incorporate that build up from the back, you want someone who's a bit more concise, a bit more precise, a bit more comfortable with the ball at his feet. But maybe it's used more so as, hey, maybe he's accurate at launching the ball out in those moments where you kind of lull the team into sleep as you're playing it from the back, and then you just need to send one over the top. Maybe that's part of the reasoning.
And honestly, I don't know. I have not watched the dude. Obviously he was the goalie of the year in La Liga. I have not watched the dude enough. I'm just basing my opinion on him on the international games, where, so obviously it's always a different animal, right? You kind of get the traits of a player maybe, but it's different. How players play is different,
and
because how the team plays is different.
It might be, it might be to his benefit if he is able to play in the back next to guys like Konate.
Yeah.
Hold on. Nope. I can't be sure. Konate, Kwanzaa, Robertson, to pass the ball to those guys. I'm not going to use Trent or Van Dijk's name because we can't right now.
Don't get that started. I am kind of depressed though. I did kind of predict that this international break is when we get announcements, and
we kind of did, but not the one we wanted.
Okay, we kind of did. See, let's get to that as well, I guess. No, where was?
But yeah, no, I think when you compare the quality of the Georgian back four to the quality of the Liverpool back four, that might be the difference of being able to be more comfortable playing it from out the back, because that the guys you're giving it to aren't going to turn around and lose it right away. Not that the Georgians had a good tournament, not to say they're bad, but the level of quality. If you had Liverpool play the Georgian national team, probably a good chance Liverpool comes out on top.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm assuming that could be part of it. I don't have confidence in you fuckers not losing the ball, kind of a deal, or just the fact that you don't get to play with them as much. Sergi says, not sure why Argentina are playing World Cup qualifiers. They won the World Cup. That's a good point. Aren't they automatically in, or did they get rid of that? Because 85 teams are hosting it, so we got to make.
Yeah, I don't think it's an automatic thing.
It used to be. It's not anymore. Is that what we're saying? Or is he just there playing a friendly and not qualifiers? we need a database over here. Like I know, like Turkey is playing games, just basically this league, UFA Nations League kind of a deal. But I don't know, and I don't see like international. Well, I guess let's look at Argentina's schedule, right?
Oh, it's CONMEBOL qualifier, not World Cup qualifier.
What the hell is that? South American Cup?
Yeah.
They have qualifiers for the South American Cup. Not only they have qualifiers for the South American Cup, they have Argentina and Brazil participating in that comedy. They're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna play. It's like you play basketball with a 2-year-old to see if you qualify for the next level. It's like
there's so many things going on.
Well, let's talk about this. I mean, I don't know. I hate to talk shit, but like this is basically a headline from like this is Enfield's this morning. Mo, Verge are like, the contract and stuff like that. Is this news or is this because there is no news? So this is like an update that I could have just provided out of the comfort of my bathroom in the morning, saying like, yeah, those talks have stalled.
Well, I guess
you see what I did there? Stall.
Yeah, that's good. I wasn't going to give you the credit for it, but you had to bring it up, which makes it worse, by the way.
I thought it was pretty good. Damn it. Go ahead.
I think you can look at this as a positive because a month or two ago, we heard Van Dijk and Mo roughly say that there have been no talks. They're just, just playing and whatever is going to happen will happen with but there weren't any talks really going on. At least now there are talks. So, we've progressed to talking to these players and realizing that their contract is running out. Which is a good sign. It's a very good sign.
Like, wait, what? That's this year.
To one of Kazi's points about making sure that other things are in order too. Like I like the Kwanzaa business. I like the fact that the Konate business is getting done as well.
Yeah.
Because that way, you're setting the example of like, yeah, we do have a core here that we believe in, that we're making this business because we believe in these guys and we want to make sure that we are ambitious enough to try and keep this going. So that could help in the negotiation potentially for these three guys. Whatever happens, if all three leave on a free, it's going to be an absolute failure for this club. I think I don't care if they leave. I do care if they all leave on a free, especially Trent. If Trent leaves on a free, you have fucked this up way beyond repair, I think.
If the other two leave on a free, I won't hold it that much against them as I would on Trent. Is that fair, or is that me being unfair?
You wouldn't hold it against Mo and Van Dijk as much?
Not as much.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I'm okay with them leaving on a free because of the age, because of where they're at, because of and I understand Trent has won just as much as they have, but Trent is really entering the prime of his career. And if you can make money still off of, not that you can't make money off Van Dijk or Mo, but the amount of money you could potentially sell Trent for, and you don't, and you just let him walk because Carvajal's done now. So Real Madrid really need a right back now.
By the way, we fucking jinxed the hell out of Carvajal together.
We really did.
High five. Now let's start working on their next player. But no, I'm saying that I would hold it slightly against Trent as well. Not that he would leave on a free and have Real take advantage of the situation to go to Real. There are players, and here's why I'm saying this, and I know this is bigger scale and stuff like that, but Ferdi is an excellent example. Ferdi could have gone the Premier League or another club, for example, but he was like, we're the ones who kind of like found him and made him the player he is. So almost like I owe it to the club, so I'll sign an extension so that you guys can sell and get your money as well. I know that's kind of too idealistic in the modern world, and that probably affects how much wages he's going to get instead, because obviously there's a sign-on fee now. But I expect somebody like Trent, who has come up from the academy and stuff like that, to want to give back. He might consider giving back like his performances and trophies and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe, obviously Fenerbahce is a different deal than Liverpool, but I take giving back as not leaving on a free and having a club take advantage of the situation clearly. Because if you would tell Real, if you guys really want me that bad, then pay the 50, 60, 70,
Yes.
whatever.
100%. So I guess let me throw a hypothetical question at you. If he leaves on a free to Real Madrid, what do you think the fan base is going to feel towards Trent in general? I know there's going to be people are going to be on both sides. What do you think the general feeling? Will it be like McManaman levels, or do you think that Trent will not get as much shit?
I think it would be pretty split. I think maybe the locals not as much. And because he's won with Liverpool, I think that makes a big difference, right? He's won everything with Liverpool. So you could say, like you done your job over here, kind of a deal, maybe. But I know, like me personally, I would hold it against them. And then I think some fans would as well. Because what is he going to say to go to Real? I think is what's, especially the way the team is doing right now. Right? If we kind of like got into like this major rebuilds or something like that after Klopp, and he said, "Well, I want to win titles," or like pull a Sterling or something like that, because he said like, "Oh, trophies are the most important thing to me," and stuff like that. You'd be like, "Okay, you didn't want to put up with and he's won the lot already, so good luck to you," blah blah blah. But I think the way the team is doing, where you feel like the window is still open, the window has not closed at all. Yeah. I think if he says, "I'm going there to win trophies," you're like, well, why the fuck aren't you like working over here to win the trophies? Is what people would say. I think that would have changed based on how the season started. I know that's fair or not, but I think it would have. Sparky says Liverpool lowball the players' wages, allow players to leave on free as payback to the players so they get the sign-on fee. See, I think that's why I hold Trent different, though. Like, I can see Van Dijk and Mo and those guys who are not. I mean, they are Liverpool made them. They probably consider they made Liverpool, whatever the case might be. But they're not like Liverpool, like Trent is from all the way up, right? I mean, so I see those guys. I mean, I don't want to use the word mercenary or whatever, but they're more like the professionals, right? So I can understand with those guys. I would be a lot more irked if Trent did it, knowing he's come all the way from academy, the scouts are on our team. I mean, he will be the face of the team moving on forward and stuff like that. That's why I would be more irked if Trent did that, as opposed to, like I say, Van Dijk and Mo doing it. That might not be fair to Trent. I'm just saying.
And he's grown up through watching the club, similar to, I mean, he's younger than me, but similar in the sense of how I'm seeing it too, right? He was able to see the mid 2000s to the early 2010s, and then kind of the shit early mid 2010s to then Klopp, right? And so you can see how much of an impact certain people can have on this club, and especially when you think about the money that Coutinho was sold for and what that brought in, you would think that he would realize that, yes, if you leave, you can leave, but think about how much more you could bring to the club as a way to pass on whatever it is, pass on the torch, if you will. I don't know. It's just all very weird because he's always said he's wanted to be captain of the club. He's always, obviously idolizes Stevie G and he always felt like he'd be a lifelong Liverpool player. So it's just weird all around. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if this is the club's fault. I wouldn't. So I guess there's a blame pie that we could talk about, but I don't think it's entirely the club's fault, because there probably were some talks that were had when there were 2 years left on the contract. There had to have been something, right? Because I think most players go through, or most agents go through something where they visit that when there's 2 years, because you don't want to get to that 1 year left, because that's often when you get into a little bit of a stalemate between both sides. Yeah. So I don't know if it is so much of the club's fault. I wouldn't go that far.
And who's why would you sign a guy with like 3 years left on his contract and stuff? 2 years is probably like usually like, hey, we don't want to answer that era. So I can kind of see that, but I don't see that's what to answer your question. And not that Sir Z is, but a lot of FSG out people will comfortably put this on FSG as opposed to on Trent. Like Sparky says, I don't want to lose Trent, but I understand why he leave. I don't understand. Like, I don't. Like,
Yeah, why
what
would
is
you
the
leave?
reasoning? Isn't that Trent saying Real is a bigger club than Liverpool? And how there does a guy like Trent say that?
Yeah, and I mean, I've said this before. I think part of it is the allure of going down. I know that you kind of had the counter argument to this, but going down in history as part of the team that had Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinny, Rodrigo, Rudiger, Alaba,
But this is
Courtois.
what, like, we talked about this before. Like, you go back, right? Like, we talk about that team. I
Yeah.
think Gordo was talking about the AC Milan team we played, right? So you start counting the guys. Trent will be the guy you count 7th or 8th in the starting 11. What a team that was. Like, I always talk about the Juventus team when I grew up, like Platini, Rossi, and those guys and stuff, like Boniek, your Polish guy. Like that team. I mean, by the time I get to, like, what was that dude's name? Chirac, or like the other stopper. I mean, it takes, the Bonini was one guy. What a team that was, by the way. But you know what I mean? Like, it would be the 7th or 8th guy. Why would you want to be that guy?
Because I'm just trying to look at it from that point of view, in that context or that perspective. Like, because you're part of this, what could go down as the greatest club team in history, something like that. Yeah. To be part of that, I think is something that not everyone would be able to say. Like, yeah, you can look back and talk about those AC Milan teams, those Juventus teams, but we still talk about them. And we still talk about those guys.
We don't talk about the individual.
But
you just happen to be there. It's like, we'll be like some of these guys that go around, no offense, but like, as Liverpool legends, but they just happen to be there while the other guys were there. And then we're like, oh yeah, he was on that team too. But we don't be like, he was the reason, kind of a thing. And I agree to this either. It's, if Madrid wanted Trent more, Madrid would have come for Trent this summer. They did not want Trent more. They want Trent if he's free. They don't want Trent. So that's not, that doesn't make sense to me. That's the complete opposite, I think. Like, we want you if you're free. It's almost like, if it's free, give me 3. But I don't think that takes that off as they want him more, like they value him more or something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess we don't know if he were to go to Madrid, we don't know how much of an impact of a role he would have on that team. He could end up being a pivotal member that ends up being talked about as the 3rd or 4th name when you bring it up. You don't know.
Do you think he will?
I think genuinely, if he were to go and the pieces were there and it worked in the way that he wanted it to, that he would be the name after Bellingham. It would go Mbappe, Vinny, Jude, Trent. Yeah. When that team would get talked about, I think so. I really do.
He's just playing right back.
He has to. Carvajal's done.
Nah, I'm not buying that.
And here's like, this is not a world where I want this to happen. But
no, I get you. I get that too, but I just don't see him be that. Mr. B says he's not going anywhere. I actually agree to this. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere just for these reasons. If he's going somewhere, he should turn around and look at how Henderson left and see how you depart and just destroy an entire legacy.
Yeah, but Henderson leaving is, you can't compare those two situations.
I'm talking about not the same scenarios, but how you depart on your way out. How you close the door behind you makes a huge impact on your legacy. Oh, like they giving me 75,000 more a week is not a good way to close the door. Or saying, oh, I'm going to win trophies over there is not a good way to close it. Yeah, and I understand. And that's another thing. Like, I think the quotient is even more. And look at what it did to Henderson.
So I guess, in what I think you said earlier too, it's going to depend on if he does leave, it's what he says when he decides to leave. That's what you're basing everything off of.
Reasoning for leaving. I mean, he has to say something like, why are you going there?
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm asking, is that moment, that what he says, his reasoning, that is going to make or break what you think of it.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if he says, yeah, like I say, if he says I'm going over there because they're giving me 400 a week and you guys would only give me 300, I'm gonna probably say, okay, fuck off. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's what I'm gonna say in my head. If that go for it, dude.
Oh, you won't have to say it in your head. You'll say it out loud here.
I would say it out loud. Yeah. I would say it out loud. And that's the thing, like Mr. B says, Henderson, Genie, and Mane all did the same. I mean, Mane, for example, don't get Cersei started because you said Mane now. Like Cersei is gonna be like coming right out. But I think like with that one, we said, yeah, you can go, man. We picked this guy over you. Genie kind of like similar to Emre Can, wanted to cash in on the last check. He went. That's fine. We didn't give him the money he wanted. Henderson is a different ordeal. But ultimately, all these guys are not Trent. And I think that's why when I say, like, I wouldn't feel this strongly if it's Van Dijk or Mo, I would with Trent, because this is a guy who is Liverpool. And you can't go around, do all these commercials when you're a little boy, blah, 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 and then say, well, they give me 100,000 more, so I'm going over there. So you just sold that little boy for 100,000, basically, is the way I will look at it.
Yeah. And the big difference between Henderson, Genie, and Mane and all that is that they weren't entering the prime of their career. They weren't. This is going to be these next 4 or 5 years are arguably going to be his best as far as physical prime will allow him to be. Not talking about mentally, not talking about tactically, but just physically. That's usually what we attribute to being the prime of your career. So the big difference is Henderson, Genie, and Mane, they were all done. I mean, Genie not so much so because I think he might have had a couple years left, but Mane was on the way done. Henderson, he took a lot of boxing classes and he got in shape and he wowed Robbo and Mo when he came back, but he wasn't, but he was past his prime as well. So that's going to be what stings the most, is that he could really be here and still do even better than he has been for the last 6-7 years, because these next 5 years are going to be at his peak. And it's his birthday today. He should just sign the damn contract.
Whose birthday? Trent's birthday?
It's Trent's birthday.
Well, happy fucking birthday, Trent. Ryan says, I agree. And then, there's way
going on with
Ryan.
Just put those comments up. Those are the only ones you ever want to put up.
Well, nobody's like, Sergi said Mane was in a no-win battle. I mean, yeah, we picked Mo over Mane. That was kind of like the deal. And I still say we picked the right person.
It's a good decision.
So just another reason to sign him. Yeah, I mean, that was like basically, let's see what happens. I really don't think, this is basically a headline because there is no news kind of a headline, because, they're like, oh, we should put something about their contracts. And then they just put up this article. Some of our writers actually on the website do also write for This Is Anfield. So there's nothing against Anfield, but they, unlike us, we put one article a day or like 3-4 a week, because they're more editorials. Sites like that who have a staff and stuff like that, and they're not run by volunteers or a company, they have to put so many posts a day. So they're like, what are we going to post today? Why don't you post about that kind of thing?
I don't think that matters. Real Madrid has been there for decades before Ancelotti. It's going to be there for decades after. The allure is still there. Ancelotti is not Madrid. He's not Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, when you say Madrid, I don't think people are going like, I'm going to go play for Ancelotti kind of thing. It's more like, I'm going to go play for Madrid.
And Ancelotti happens to be there. That's how it is right now.
Yeah, because it's not like, if Ancelotti leaves, it's not going to be like fucking Ten Hag coming over or something. It's going to be like,
can you imagine?
Sought after manager. That would be hilarious if they got 10. Hey, fucking company is in Bayern, and this would be a joke that we would make last year when Burnley was dead last, and we're like, it's not like Bayern was gonna get Vince.
So you're saying Gary O'Neill is going to replace Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid?
Well, that's funny. Yeah, we joked that. Yeah, like it would have easily like a joke we would have made last year, and the dude is over there coaching Bayern, losing to Aston Villa. That's a different story. They'll replace him with something. Yeah, it will be another sought after guy because it's a sought after job because of how they do business. We were talking about in the watch along too. I don't know how many people want to go to United. I know all these managers have egos, but you can take your ego to a more plausible situation because all these guys that they're after are gone after. Real might go after him next or whatever, So why would you go into this situation, even if because here's the thing: improvement isn't enough, right? Like you can go to United and say, I can't do any worse, so I'll clean it up a little bit,
Right.
but that's not the bar. So you're not going to be considered successful for just like cleaning it up. So, there's not many managers left that could control the egos at Real. Yeah, I mean that's true. It takes it like you can't just get a soccer guy to do it, right? I think it's more than soccer. It's more about like kind of like Mr. V is saying, like controlling those guys and like making sure everybody's in check, everybody's getting their minutes, everybody's happy because you're signing. Your bench could put together a team and probably be fourth in La Liga.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
sure.
So it's hard to keep everybody over there. Do you think renewing Ibu and Kwanzaa will show Trent, Van Dijk, Salah that we're strengthening our future? That will confidence at least two of them to stay. I mean, I don't know if like Van Dijk is like, oh, Kwanzaa is here, good, but
no, because we mentioned this just earlier today in the show, right? I mean, that by taking care of that business with Ibu and Kwanzaa does offer better negotiation for the other guys because you can tell that they're still trying to keep the core. They believe in the guys that they have here, and they believe in the quality of the guys. So I think that does help. It doesn't hurt the negotiation for any three.
Yeah.
How much does it help? I don't know, but it definitely doesn't hurt.
I almost feel like, I'll ask you this along the same lines. Does what we do with the other two affect the third? So it has to almost be a similar package deal, especially when it's Van Dijk. The Mo is a different category because Mo's options are totally different, right? And opportunities and stuff.
Yeah.
But do you think like Van Dijk looks at it and say, well, are we going to invest in the future? But does Van Dijk care if Trent is going to be at the right back? Trent might care that Van Dijk is going to be in the back for long term, but I don't know if it's the other way around.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because as much as we see the smiles and all the happiness on social media that the Liverpool social media posts, we don't really know how these guys get along behind closed doors, right? They might not be as close as we think. It's clear if you're just basing it off social media, like you would think that Trent and Jude Bellingham were pretty much like inseparable because they're always talking to each other. They're always posting about each other, this and that. So, but you never see anything regarding Trent and Van Dijk or whatever the case might be. And obviously it's silly because it's social media and it shouldn't matter. But people look at these things and then people talk and then that talk just spreads. And then that
but didn't we do the reverse talk when Hando and fucking Hando, Transport, Bellingham were hanging out? We're like, oh, Bellingham's coming here. It's played cards together.
Right. And it's always however you want to spin that narrative to make that happen is what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's maybe there is something, speaking of egos, right? Maybe there is something between those three. Well, all three of them feel like maybe like I should be the face of this club. And if all three of these other two guys are here, I can't do that. So you have to pick one of these two or I'm not staying kind of thing. We don't know. I mean, ideally we would hope that all three of them get along and they can all play with each other and they don't have as much of an ego, but we know Mo has an ego. Oh, we know Van Dijk has an ego. We know Trent has an ego. We just don't know what that ego is like in the locker room so much. So, I don't quite know if that's what it'll come down to. Hopefully not, but
yeah, Mr. B says by Christmas all three will sign. It's not Marmalade, it's what is it? Mamardashvili, sorry. By Christmas all three will sign. I don't know, man. My prediction was, they would sign this international break. So I'm gonna punt it for a month and say it's gonna be the next international break, which would be like mid-November and stuff like that. Because I think it's going to be, when it happens, it's gonna be 2 or 3 of them doing it at the same time. And maybe because we're going to find out, like I say, if it's 2 of them, then we're going to know the third one is not staying kind of a deal. Because I think it's going to be instantly known. Or if they're smart, they might take care of Trent first as the younger guy and then deal with the other 2.
But what if then that pisses off Van Dijk or Mo? Then it's not the smart thing. Because you just mentioned before, like what if Van Dijk is like, well, if Trent's staying, I don't really want to stay. I don't care about the future as much,
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I would like, Mr. B is thinking all 3. I don't know if all 3 are staying. Would be nice. It's just bad that And this is what I'll agree with Sir Z. I think it's bad that we're talking about all three at the freaking same time of ending the contract. Usually it's one guy that you debate over and over. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? And then look at signs and shit. Like, we're looking at three guys at the same time. That's nuts. And three key guys, right? Like, especially Van Dijk. I mean, all these clean sheets are great and stuff like that, but really everything still. I think Konate is great because you have Van Dijk next to you. And I'm nothing against Konate. I'm saying he's doing great, but it helps to have Van Dijk as the other center back, whoever, if it's Kwanzaa and stuff. And maybe Kwanzaa, but that could be a thing, right? Like Van Dijk might be like, are we going to keep these guys? Because they're, I want to play with these guys. Maybe he's saying, so they're signing Kwanzaa, they're signing and stuff. Or maybe they're like, hey, Van Dijk is leaving, you guys staying, right? And then that's why they're extending it. So God knows. Let's talk about this a little bit so they can get really depressed. City claim victory against Premier League in there. This is not the same concept, but we're all assuming that it would kind of affect it a little bit in terms of at least the punishment they get, because you cannot say, well, that speed limit didn't make sense. Oh, okay, we fixed the speed limit, so all my speeding tickets are gone now, right? No, because when the law was there, you were still doing it regardless of what the law is,
right?
So what do you think comes out of this? I guess my bigger fear is when I see this, how loose are these laws going to be? Because they're making it sound like Premier League is not going to be able to dictate, like, you putting Polish Prince on your jersey is not worth $1 billion a year because these guys are getting only 50. So you should be probably getting around 50. They're saying, no, we're that special that the Saudi king wants his last name or his son's name on our jersey and wants to pay us $1 billion, kind of a deal. I guess that's my biggest fear. I know what your take is when you see the headline. Or the news, I should say.
Yeah, it just if anything, it makes me feel bad for Everton and Forest fans. And fans of clubs that have been punished for things that have been 1/10 of what this club has done. And I think it's just so bold for a city to come out and say, well, it was actually the Premier League that broke the law. Actually, we had nothing to do with that. It's just a little disheartening, and it's hard to have any sort of faith in any. I mean, we live in the States. We have hard to have faith in the legal system anyway, right? But yeah, it's just what it continues to be. It's just more loss of faith, and you continue preaching this greatest league in the world with the best parity, with the best refereeing, with the best technology, with showcasing the best product on the pitch, while everything around you is saying no, and it's ringing bells, but somehow you don't hear the bells and you don't see the red lights and the red flags. So it's all just disheartening, really.
I think you don't see that because you're in the back counting money. So you're like,
you're just seeing green. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is separate, this whole ATP thing. I guess my thing would be, some of those charges then, because then the Premier League in that case can be like, well, why don't you just argue that then instead of freaking like trying to do shady stuff behind the scenes? Because it'd be one thing to violate him. If it was 130 charges were a violation of that, that'd be one thing. A lot of these charges are more about them hiding it to fit those rules that they don't agree with. Because you can't be like, well, you made me do it. I didn't want to do all this. You made me do it. I don't think that's a good defense. But we know, because unfortunately we're old enough to know life isn't fair, that this will affect the severity of the punishments and in terms of like what they're going to get and stuff like that. So just another wrinkle in this overall major fiasco. I worry more that, it opens the doors for when I saw this more than the 130 charges, because I know they're separate, I was more worried about like, where's the sport going to go to? Because it's going to keep going downhill. Is what it feels like.
You just have Arsenal blast the Emirates with Walmart ads everywhere, making up the money. But
yeah, it's gonna be more than that. Walmart and stuff can keep up with the money that Newcastle and City and stuff have. So, until we find alternative energy resources.
Well, let's just say the
oil
score
money is going to be big.
The score is now Man City 150. football 115, Man City won. So hopefully they don't have a bigger comeback than anything else.
130. I heard 131. It keeps going up, so they keep digging.
So 130 to 1 then. Yeah.
I hope, like I say, it's not going to bring back. I don't know. I'm not thinking it's going to bring back the trophies. It's not going to take away those moments where we lost it in the last day and stuff like that. Those are gone, regardless of what comes out of the court case. But I'm just more, as the old farts, like leaving this game to generation like yours, the Prince, in better hands and not just like a shit show that's become.
I don't think there's any. There's no going back now. I think we've gone too far.
Unfortunately, yes, we have gone too far.
The market will correct itself for player transfer values, but that's as far back as we'll go. I think everything else that's happened.
Which we went back a little bit. But then again, the only hope is, I don't know if FIFA would do something different because this is the Premier League. So I don't know if FIFA would do something different that UEFA has to go with. And then, the Premier League has to follow suit and stuff like that. But not like we're not talking about ridiculously corrupt organizations. So expecting somebody to do the right thing is probably being too optimistic. Well, now that we depressed everybody, let's end the show.
As we do.
Your off day. By the way, if you're watching, listening right now, please give us a like. Definitely the broadcast definitely helps the algorithm and stuff. The likes and shares and stuff like that. Obviously, your guys' comments help us a lot, so we do appreciate it. The share, I had somebody who were like, dude, you guys keep saying share. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, how the hell am I supposed to share kind of thing? And here's your answer. You can share the stream. You can share the link. You can share the channel and say, hey, I watched these two bozos this morning and it was interesting kind of a deal. We're at 938 followers right now. So we're really striving for that 1,000. But yeah, that's the best way to probably support us. Share it. As I always say, grab a friend by the ear and drag their butt over here to give us a follow as well and join in the conversation. So if you want to get involved, appear on the shows and all that kind of stuff, send us a message as well. We have a lot of new projects on the way, so we'll definitely need more hands on deck, it feels like. So having said all that, because I have to say it, by contract. No. What's the plan for today? Are you going around patching up more things, putting things up top? What are we doing?
Yeah, so it's grooming day. So
it is grooming day
for Blue. So taking her to the groomer, and then
How often does Blue go? Once a month, was it?
Every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks. Okay.
Every 6 weeks. Yep. And so grooming day for her, but then we're renting out a storage space because we got a lot of stuff in the garage that we just don't have the room for. And we are so lucky, another fortunate thing, that right behind our house is a big storage facility of different storage spaces to rent. So my job today.
To be fair, I think everybody can say that they're all over the goddamn place. But go ahead.
Fair enough. That's true. But like I can walk to it. It's just it's within
You're not
view.
Gonna though, right?
I mean, these boxes are heavy, so I'll have someone else do it for me, of course. But yeah, I could flip this this camera around, and you can see the storage unit. So my job while Michelle is working today is to load everything from the garage to the storage space.
And how are you doing this?
Via Butler's, obviously. No, Michelle's car, because I've got a little piece of shit. So I'm using her bigger SUV, and I'm gonna just make dozens of trips.
Oh, so load up, drive. Nice. So like yes, Michelle, as she was leaving, and when I come back, I don't want to see any boxes over here. Pretty much.
She
works. Dude, you can tell us. It's a safe space.
Is she here?
She doesn't listen to the show, so
she works from home, so she will see it. Yeah, so
right,
I don't have. Yeah, so there's nothing that I can do that she won't see.
So you have to work.
She just told me to do my best, which really I know translates to this better be fucking done.
When I get out of my shifts, I don't want to see these boxes. I can see that. I can see that. Well, you have fun doing that. For everybody, hope you guys enjoy your Monday, the week. International break. What's not to like, right? But we'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Gally, Bickler, and myself for the Monday night podcast as always. So do tune in then. Until then, have an awesome day, everybody, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.